We have the minutes of the August 2024 meeting. I didn't have any comments. Anybody else? Approve them by consensus. Now we move on to public participation. Anybody who would like to comment on something that's not on the agenda? Hearing and seeing none, we'll move on. So our new business is, first of all, application 2423 P. D. Loretto subdivision. It's a request for a subdivision to create a one-building lot on property located at 561 Strong Road in the rural residential zone. And I think we just got a handout from Mr. Damali.
Yes, Chairman Wagner, Vice Chairman Foley, and members of the Commission. For the record, Peter Damali, President and CEO of Design Professionals, Inc., offices at 21 Jeffrey Drive temporarily in town of South Windsor. We will be relocating this month. So I'm privileged to be here with Daniel Jameson, our Director of Engineering. He's also a licensed professional engineer in Connecticut. He's responsible for the engineering design. We're here for 561, I'm going to keep it brief and request to do that, 561 Strong Road at the corner of Strong and Burgess Road. It's a just over 3-acre site. It's about 3 times the minimum lot size requirement in your zoning regulations. It's in the RR residential zone. Frontage is 241 feet on Strong Road. Depth of the lot is about 810 feet. It'll be served by public water and a septic system. Was approved by 2 different sanitarians over the course of the years, including a more recent one. I don't know if she just resigned, I'm not sure. Are we still good with the same sanitarian? Okay. 2 sanitarians approved from the town of South Windsor. Anyways, the septic system. And it's designed for up to whatever people want, up to a 5-bedroom house. The illustrative house we have on the plans is a 5-bedroom colonial with a 2-car garage, 36 feet by 50 feet. As you know, because it's just subdivision, anybody can put the house wherever they want within your zoning setbacks on the lot, other than disturbing the area of septic system. Driveway sightline exceeds the requirements, DOT requirements, as proposed. There are 2 wetlands to the rear of the property, about 30,000 square feet total to the far. It's at least 200 feet back from where we indicate where the house could be in the illustration. There are no activities within the upland review area and no activities within wetlands, and it was unanimously approved last Wednesday night by the Inland Wetlands Agency. Mr. Di Loretto, Mario, has owned the property for over 40 years. Burgess Road previously encroached on the property at the corner, kept getting paved over over the years, but Mr. Di Loretto did deed it over to the town a number of years ago, and we brought it to his attention, and the town readily received that corner, so they now own the corner of Burgess Road and also the corner for it, to make the radius. Burgess Road is not a town road. We thoroughly investigated that early on when Larry Geisler did the survey, and the total right-of-way for that is about 25 feet. It serves a town garage and private property. It's not a public street. Szynski is one listed on our, one of the owners on the south side of Burgess Road, the right-of-way. When the lot is sold, it will require a fully engineered plot plan as required in your regulations, subdivision and zoning, and it will have the required septic system. We've already know it's been approved, and the actual house configuration location will be modified to accommodate the new house. Whoever buys it. Mr. Di Loretto is not buying the lot. He's just selling it. Jeff Doolittle has requested a 20-foot wide strip to be deeded to the town along Strong Road to meet, along Strode Road to meet the 25 feet from the center line of the road, which is incorporated within your subdivision regulations. You can ask for that. And it's been shown, it's depicted on the plans, so we are 25 feet from the center line, so you're getting a 10-foot strip, which is about 1,475 square feet from this lot. He also requested a 20-foot conservation easement along Burgess Road, and we agreed to that at the Wetlands Commission meeting last Wednesday night, and it's now a condition of, and they put it as a condition of approval with our consent last Wednesday. So we'll be doing 20 feet along that. So it'll be a 20-foot with the trees along there. The 20 feet of trees will remain there, sort of buffer it from the driveway, whatever you want to call Burgess Road, next to it with its modest traffic, but includes trucks from the highway garage. We have, I believe we fully addressed Justin Russo's comments, but he'll talk to you about that. We're going to leave it at that. Keep it short. We're requested to keep it, brevity's a word, so we're going to keep it at that, but Daniel Jamison and I are here if you have any questions. Again, the engineered plot plan will be done and reviewed by the engineering department, planning department, wetlands, or new conservation planner, environmental planner, Autumn Burke and others, at the time somebody selects a house and they buy the lot. So we'll keep it brief, and we're here to address any questions you may have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is that your presentation?
That concludes the formal
Mr. Jameson, it's
presentation.
been a while since we've seen you here.
Yeah.
Okay,
That was Peter that just ended.
I know.
Blessed.
Okay. All right. No snide remarks from the peanut gallery here. Okay. So at this point, we'll ask for commissioners to have any comments or questions. I guess town staff, right. Sorry about that. Thank you. My secretary keeps me under control.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is, as Peter stated, a request for a subdivision, create a one-building lot and property located at 561 Strong Road, rural residential zone. Just to touch additionally on the history, as stated, this parcel is part of a larger piece of land. 2019, the town purchased 7.2 acres of this property to add land to the town garage property. This piece before you is what's left over after that conveyance. Zoning compliance for this lot has been demonstrated in the zoning table on drawing C-T1. There are wetlands on the site, as Mr. Denali has mentioned. The Inland Wetlands Agency and Conservation Commission approval for this subdivision was granted on September 4th, 2024, with standard conditions. Additional conditions, which were touched on, include a conservation easement being established alongside of the lot that abuts Burgess Road, and the review of plantings in the proposed rain garden at the time of building permit application, and a post-construction operation and maintenance plan for stormwater management shall be provided in a note on the plans. As Mr. Denali stated, this lot is served by a septic system, which was approved by the Health Department February 6, 2024. Water would be provided by a public service water connection. There has been about 1,500 square feet of land that will be deeded to the town in order to meet the required street line per section C36 of the subdivision regulations. And finally, street lines must be monumented in accordance with the monumentation standards provided in the Public Improvement Specifications Manual. I also have comments prepared by the town engineer, if you would like me to read those. From Jeffrey Doolittle, professional engineer, town engineer, dated September 3rd, 2024. I have reviewed the above plan and have the following comments. The first 50 to 60 feet of the driveway should be pitched towards the proposed rain garden on the west side of the driveway. Number two, show the elevation of the driveway where it meets the road and ensure there is enough slope in the driveway and road so water drains from the end of the driveway and does not pond there. Number three, label the width and material to be used for the driveway, such as 12 feet wide bituminous driveway. A 20-foot long bituminous paved apron is needed if the remainder of the driveway is to be gravel or stone aggregate. Number four, included detail for the rain garden showing amended soil layers and plants to be installed. Number five, the trees and vegetation along Burgess Road in 20-foot side yard need to remain to provide a buffer from traffic on Burgess Road. Dead and invasive vegetation can be cleared and should be replaced as needed. I suggest a conservation easement be placed alongside this side of the lot. Number six, I did not see a foundation drain or sump pump outlet on the plan. And finally, number seven, will this house have propane or oil for heat? And if so, will that tank be located? And that concludes the comments from town engineer and planning department.
Thank you, Mr. Rosso. So let's start with Commissioner Quarashi,
No comments.
Commissioner Viteri,
No questions.
Commissioner Foley.
Hey, Pete, the rain garden on the side of the driveway, is that to accommodate, on the west side of the driveway, is that to accommodate the flooding that happens at that corner every time it rains?
Hello, Mr. Foley. For the record, Daniel Jameson, professional engineer, state of Connecticut. And to answer your question on the rain garden, that was sized to attain the change in the 10-year storm volume. So it's like for a bigger site, we would do, peak flow controls for a 2 through the 100-year storm. But for small, single-family lots, we just size for the change from woods to grass for the 10-year storm volume. So that's what that rain garden was sized for, and it's positioned on the downhill side of the driveway to promote, the sheet flow from the driveway to enter the rain garden for treatment there. But it is solely to detain the increase in 10-year storm volume. So.
Findings from that catch basin.
Yeah, but it won't add or, that ponding right now, we observed it, and we just think it's the result of the catch basin being clogged up at the moment. Okay. So, as we progress and once the engineering plan would be submitted, we would, talk with the town about cleaning out that catch basin to allow us access to it, because we ultimately would want to put a foundation drain into that catch basin. So we definitely would want to investigate cleaning that catch basin so that it can be accessed for us later, or accessible for us.
Thank you. Did you sign in?
Nope, I'll do it right now.
That's all. Commissioner Dexter.
I have no comments.
Paul?
You can stay up there. Are you clearing the entire lot for this?
No, we're certainly not clearing.
What percent of the lot will be cleared?
The front portion, I would say about a third of the lot would be cleared, about an acre, but we're not clearing anything within the 100-foot upland area, so we do leave that whole area alone. Right now, the plan that we show, as Peterson mentioned, is kind of schematic until somebody does purchase the home, so the final clearing would be subject to that engineering plan, which would be submitted to the town, which would be subject to Jeff Doolittle's review. So,
Okay. I have other questions, but they'll be delayed until this is purchased. So,
okay,
thank you.
No problem.
Commissioner Willett?
No questions.
Commissioner Kupchinas?
No questions.
Commissioner McGansky?
No questions.
Thank you.
Okay. Would you show me where the easement is, or tell me where the easement is on this picture?
So here we'll be proposing an easement along the 20-foot side yard parallel to Burgess Road.
So that's the remaining property, okay. I guess there's an awful lot of detail in here. I don't know, Peter, maybe you're the right one to answer this. How much of this is actually within the scope of a subdivision approval, and how much is more of a site plan approval?
We're required to demonstrate to you that the lot can work. So the septic system is a requirement. We have to, before we could submit, we had to get approval from the health department. So we went soils testing, deep test pits, percolation tests, witnessed by the town sanitarians, and then they approved the design. So that's been done. That's a first and foremost. Other than that, we got public water out in front that was installed, 10, 15 years ago at least. And so we're not worried about water. We can grade it. Daniel has a plan that shows it can be graded. We have much more than requirements for zoning for frontage, lot size, we're like 3 times the size, that type of stuff. We have a little bit of wetlands. We get 90 by 90 foot square on there, way far away from, the sidelines and stuff where a house can go. In fact, it can be a lot bigger than that. So I think we meet all the requirements, but the actual house will be on an engineered plot plan as required by your regulations and by Wetlands Commission. So they'll have to go through that process with town staff once it's done. It doesn't mean they'll come to us. They could go to any civil engineering firm that's licensed in Connecticut to do that. There's a good likelihood we might do it because we've already done the surveying and engineering, but we hope that they'll come to us and we can readily do it for them.
Okay,
But,
thank you.
yeah, that's about it.
So any other questions or comments from commissioners? Are you done with yours?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, we could entertain a motion at this point.
I'll make a motion to approve application 24-23P, D. Loretto subdivision. This includes standard approval modifications for subdivisions 1 through 10. Number 9 is a drainage assessment fee in the amount of $50 shall be submitted to this commission. Number 11, the street line along Strong Road shall be established in accordance with section C.6-6 of the subdivision regulations. Number 12, plan shall be adjusted to show the non-established street line to be held 25 feet off the pavement center line. And the last, number 13, engineering comments dated 9/3/24 must be incorporated into the final plans.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I second it.
Okay, Mr. Materi seconded it. Any other discussion? Okay, we'll then take a vote. Now the alternates, only Mr. Kawashi can vote. And I'm kind of going to try to educate you how it is to be an alternate as we go forward. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously.
Thank you very much, and welcome, Mr. Kupchinas.
Okay, see if I can sort all this paper. Okay, our next application is application 24-28P, Caballo Office Temporary and Conditional Renewal. Is there anyone here from the applicant?
Sorry, I was talking to Peter. Good evening. My name is Walter Caballo. I'm the applicant. I expect my presentation will be even shorter than theirs. I'm the owner of this said property, and I've been on this property since 1962 when my parents, 1961 when my parents purchased it. We've been there now for 63 years. The house was built in 1892. Now, I'm assuming you've got my narrative, my two-page narrative? Okay. So I'm not going to go ahead and repeat my narrative. You've all read it. So I'm just here to answer any questions that you may have about this temporary and conditional permit.
Thank you. Is that the end of your presentation? Okay, staff comments?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a request for a 2-year temporary and conditional permit for an electrical contracting business located at 175 Wheeler Road, A20 zone. Caballo Electric has been operating this business from this location since about 1987. The commission originally approved a temporary and conditional permit for the Caballo Electric office on October 31st of 2000, and the most recent approval expired on August 22nd of 2024. In the permit renewal application, the applicant has stated that there is 1 full-time office worker and 4 other employees that visit the site less than 5 times a week. There are no evening or weekend hours. The applicant has arranged for private refuse collection, and staff have not received any comments or concerns about this use. The wording of the TNC permit regulation is that temporary and conditional permits may be granted by the commission for a period not to exceed 2 years. Such approval may be given after a public hearing if, in the judgment of the commission, the public convenience and welfare will be substantially served, and the appropriate use of the neighboring property will not be substantially or permanently injured, and traffic and other hazards will not result from such use. Planning and Zoning Commission renewal approvals can be granted at a regular meeting. If this application is approved, the Planning Department has no additional approval recommendations to request. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Baganski?
I don't have any questions.
Commissioner Kupchinas?
No questions.
Commissioner Willett?
No questions.
Commissioner Bernstein? Oh, yeah, Commissioner Bernstein.
Mr. Caballo? Yes. I don't want to assume anything, but you've been situated this way for quite a while. Any issues with neighbors?
No, none at all.
And they know you're here and
I even built them a bench out on the street for them to sit on.
your narrative is very interesting. Any chance of you turning the office back into a dance hall? I'm just kidding.
I'm considering that.
That's all I have. Thanks.
All right, thank you.
No comments.
Just one quick, it says you have 5 employees, but like only one of them's there all the time, the secretary.
We're electrical contractors. Our employees go straight to the jobs.
Oh, okay.
We do have 2 vehicles that we park there. It is I have a full-time secretary, office manager that works out of that location. I occasionally go and work out of that location. I live in that house.
Thank you. No, nothing else.
No questions.
Okay. Commissioner Bernstein stole my thunder asking about the dance hall, but I have no questions. Anybody else have any comments or questions? Can we have a motion? Yep. It's on the back.
Application 24-28P, request for renewal of a 2-year temporary and conditional permit for the Cabal Electric Company located at 175 Wheeler Road, A20 zone. The approval is subject to the following conditions. The permit will expire on 9/10/26 and will have to be renewed at that time. If the use is to continue, refuse from the business cannot be disposed of with residential refuse. Adequate arrangements must be made for business refuse disposal. The number of employees is limited to 5 full or part-time, and 4 commercial vehicle parking on the street is prohibited.
Do we have a second? Second. Commissioner Bernstein. All right, any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you very much.
So now we're going to move on to application 2420P, Boynton zoning text amendment. I think we've had a public hearing, so there's no opportunity for additional input from the public or from the applicant. However, the town staff can comment at this point. Do you have any comments?
No additional comments at this time.
Okay. So in our package, we have the proposed changes with some staff recommendations in blue. I think just to go over it, we have modification to 717.5, would recommend keeping the 350 unit cap to have the opportunity to revisit the regulations after about 100 units. Even though the proposal has that sentence struck, we can discuss whether or not to keep that cap in there. There was an addition to 717.2, developments with over 25 units shall provide for secondary access and/or emergency access from the site. There was in 717.6E, the word up to was deleted, but I think we should also insert the word at least. That's my comment. The rest of it is pretty much as it was proposed. So we'll now open to discussion from members of the commission. Mr. Karashi.
I have nothing at this time.
Okay. Mr. Vitari.
No further questions.
I would like you to each comment on whether or not you want the 350 cap to remain in there. Are you happy to keep the 350 unit cap? Okay.
No, I still think that keeping that and then it could be reevaluated at a later time makes sense.
First of all, yes, I do want to keep the cap at 350. Quick question, Justin, pertaining to the and/or emergency access from site, does that need to be like an improved roadway, or can that be like a gravel access point, or so that they don't have to do like a full-blown road
Understood,
for
yeah.
only 25 units?
Yeah, that's a good question. Something I would probably have to confirm, but I believe it could be some sort of access as long as it meets, you know, requirements to support fire apparatus or emergency vehicles. That's my interpretation of it, but I could find out for you.
Yeah, that's the way I interpret it, yeah. Commissioner Dexter.
Well, I just did want to go on the record, since I wasn't at the August 20th meeting, to say that I did watch the whole meeting on TV. You guys looked great, by the way, and I did read the minutes.
We always do.
You always do. You know, I do agree to keep it at 350, so we can consider as we go. I do like the fact we're keeping the community room in, because I think that's the right thing to do for these folks. Actually, maybe even Andrea could use it as off-site room for a class or for something. So I think having our human services tight, that might be a good thing. And I didn't have any issues with the architectural section, you know, the 2400, 2200, all that, as long as there's choices and that the entry-level choice isn't too high, you know, like 18 to 2000. I didn't really. Is that kind of what the red says,
I think so,
basically?
yeah.
Or does it start at 2000? Starts at 2000?
Minimum number of units less than or equal to 2,000 square feet can be less than 30%, so they could put some 1400s in
Or
there.
even 18s, you
Or
know,
18s,
16,
yeah.
whatever. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Commissioner Bernstein.
I am in favor of adopting the staff comments as provided.
Okay. Commissioner Willett.
I agree with the 350 cap, and I would love to see the minimum number of units instead of 2,000 square feet at the lower end at 1,800. It's the only change.
So you're not proposing any changes than what we have here?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, do you want 1,800? I mean, we'll discuss that.
Yeah, I personally, I would like to see it at 1,800.
So the minimum number of units, 1,800 square feet or less, shall be 30%, is that what you're saying?
Just from an affordability standpoint, we keep talking about affordability up here, and that's one way to try and drive it.
Okay. Commissioner Capuchinos.
Only thing I would say is the recreation room on that. I think having some open space or something like that is kind of enough. I mean, having a whole structure or building is kind of a added cost that might deter some of the people trying to buy it as well. But having some kind of an area or pavilion or something simple as an area, I think would be a good call. And you know, I think the square footage is, you know, obviously there's a fixed cost with buildings, so I don't know how much the affordability for 1,800 versus 2,000 really factors into it when you have all your fixed costs of building a house that are all gonna more or less stay the same. But other than that,
Thank you.
I think the 350 cap is good. And
Commissioner Begansky.
I think the 350 cap is good. I also agree with the point on the recreational space. I think it sounds great to have, but if that's, I mean, the square footage, I'm actually fine with what we've put. I think it sounds like that's probably what could potentially impact the affordability, so that would be the only one thing I would take into consideration if we forced it.
So you're saying?
I'm not sure if it's as necessary, if that could impede on making that affordable for folks who want to purchase properties there.
So you would allow the,
I'm okay with the square footage that's being proposed here. I think the only thing I would take into consideration too is the idea of the rec room type, the clubhouse type space that could impact the cost to folks that are trying to purchase a property there.
So we have some differences of opinion. First of all, on changing 2,000 to 1,800, how do people feel about that? Or does everyone want to change it to 1,800? Yeah, okay. And then the question about, let's see. So are you actually in agreement with paragraph E? That all gives you the alternative of open space? Are we all in agreement with that paragraph E as it's written?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. All right, so any other comments or questions?
Yeah, clarification on that, are we saying on 7.17.6 density under E, are we saying community room with a minimum number of 1,000 square feet and the recreation, or something different?
It says or.
Or,
So if they want to build a playground, they wouldn't have to do a community center. And I think there was at least one person who was in favor of having a community center, so.
Well, I was,
Yes.
I was one of those people. Open space, passive recreation, I mean, that's like a walking trail. I'm thinking more like a little more upscale than that. Pickleball courts or a little putting green or something that people will actually use. And if it's going to be in exchange for this 1,000 square foot community room, I mean, these are not little entry-level houses, so it ought to be something that people are buying into a community.
I mean, we do have the issue of the burden that senior housing places on both our community center and our human resources, not human resources, senior services, yeah. That, you know, this, if there was actually a requirement for a community center, that would help, maybe help with that. On the other hand, I think there's possibly a concern about adding to the cost and of each unit, because that's going to be built into that, and also whether or not these things are heavily used.
so is this item E the decision to go with the community room or the recreational space? Is this a decision the applicant would make? It's an or is this a decision that we make? We choose one or the other?
I think the applicant would make this. This is not a special exception.
Okay.
Do
I
we,
don't think. Justin, is this a special exception, or what is the, you know, this thing is all built into 717.
it's just a text amendment.
So you're asking if this.
And what's the context of this section of the
The
regulation?
SRD would be a special exception, I believe.
So we could at least twist their arm about whether or not they build a community center? Is that the idea?
For lack of a better term, sure. But I believe, yes, the applicant would come in with any one of those three options. That would be their choice, and then, of course, it's your purview.
Yeah. Commissioner Dexter?
Can we ask the applicant, or maybe?
No, we can't ask the applicant because the public hearing is closed.
I know, not right
Yeah.
now, but in preparation for the site plan, do we have any data about other developments that have a community center? Is it really what they quoted, $250 to $350 a month per unit more for a building? Is that really what it is? I don't know. I've never lived in one.
Well, I have to imagine part of it is probably covering the insurance for it, right? Right, the betterments and improvements of it. I would not be surprised, right? It's gonna be fees, maintenance.
I see if there's a pool, there would
Heating,
be, you know,
right.
but just a room.
Like, how many of our 55 and over communities do we have now that have one
That's a
and
good
are
question.
actually being utilized? And what are those average HOA fees for that?
Yeah, that's what I'd like to know.
Unfortunately, we don't know, or.
That's the only thing, because we're talking about like changing it from 1,800 to 2,000. to make it a little bit more affordable, but if we're gonna add $200 or $300 a month, that's probably gonna be a lot more than what that extra 200 square foot is gonna cost somebody, right?
Yeah.
No, I know, it's a good point.
Well, I think maybe we should proceed with a motion, and if someone wants to amend the motion, we could do that. So, make sure when you make the motion, you deal with the 350 cap and whether or not we want the option of having the 600 square feet of open space or recreation, or whether we just want recreation and not open space, whatever. So, ask you to be precise in making the motion.
I mean, I would agree with taking open space out. I think it still leaves it kind of wide open as to what's defined as a recreational area, but I think it gives at least a little bit more of
Yeah,
a
would
indicator.
Would the 600 square feet be cumulative to a certain area that would serve as some recreational area? Or is it, we're adding 600 square feet per yard for in between houses? That's useless open space, you know? People don't want bigger yards when they're at a SRD. They're looking for some kind of activity with their neighbors. As I was talking to another commissioner, like in other facilities right across the line on Dart Hill, they have a community building which is used for happy hour and games and gatherings and the such. So it kind of upscales it a little bit, but 600 square feet, unless it's being utilized and used for an activity, just adding lawn is not.
Because, I mean, it says open space, which is pretty much trees or whatever.
Whatever they want it to be.
Yeah.
So if we change the wording to say something like a recreational area consisting or equal to 600 square feet per dwelling, call it a single recreational area equal to that size, I think that makes more sense.
Or at least active, I mean, if they want to put two, I don't know that they want playgrounds in a SRD, but,
Right.
you know, pickleball courts or active recreation, is that what we're looking for? Ambulance access, okay. Hopefully I'm not there yet. So where are we ending up on this? Anybody want to choose the comment?
We're changing the text, right? So, and/or maybe a future developer wants to do a high-end place and goes, okay, I want to have a gated community. We'll give them a choice, because some, you know, the next one that comes by could say, yeah, I want a high-end, you know, if you're gonna be here, you're gonna have to pay $250 a month extra to maintain this facility, but I don't wanna take that wording out, or, so that way, if somebody does, you know, like you said, they wanna do a high-end place.
So leave the or in there and then just make it so it's
But also the
co-located.
600 square feet is cumulative. It's all in one spot. We're not adding the 600 square feet to each yard. We're gonna have one area set aside.
So instead of the
equal-
throughout, adjust the
Yeah,
wording to
15,000 square foot
co-located.
area, which is a decent place to, you know.
So, okay, so, I
Croquet,
mean,
you know, I don't care.
building on that, I mean, if we were to build a community center, there'd be one community center to serve the whole community. So you're saying if there's gonna be a recreational area, it has to be, you know, a single, recreational.
It's a lot size. It's
Yeah.
15,000 square feet.
Yeah.
So, you know,
Now, it also says open space, which could just be, I mean, our definition of open space actually allows a certain amount of wetlands in open space. Do we really want that, or do we want do we want either active recreation or a building and not have the open space?
Take open space.
So just to give some, just sorry for texting while I was here, but I got definitive answer. So Kevin, the development you're talking about off Dart Hill, so my in-laws live there, so they pay $325 a month, all in, plowing, lawn, maintenance, exterior maintenance, and 3 clubhouses.
3 club.
3, 1 for each phase in the community. So that's not $325 for the clubhouse, that's $325 for everything.
But now the other part of the clubhouse is the actual capital investment of building the clubhouse is built into the cost of your dwelling, I assume.
Yeah.
So there's a maintenance fee or whatever you want to call it, and then there's the actual hidden capital cost of building the dwelling.
Yeah, it's a capitalized cost that's spread across all of the units over X period of time. But it's not adding $325 a month, it's not adding $100 a month, it's adding some nominal fixed fee per month for insurance, heat, water.
They're going to have those fees anyway, right? Whether they're maintaining a clubhouse or not.
Or an open space. Even a recreational area, they'd have to do stuff there anyway. So maybe the fees is down, but yeah. Leave the or in there.
So Kevin,
Remove open space.
I think you have the most coherent thought here. Why don't you make the motion? Sorry, accusing you of being.
You know, you don't want to put a barrier on a developer, but at the same time, we're looking at the people that move in there. Like you said, it's not $250 a month extra for each one of these dwellings. It's, yeah, we're taking, 1,000 square foot building. We're asking to bump up we had 1,400 square foot houses, and now, you know what I'm saying, we're not asking it to be fitted out except for a bathroom and a kitchen. So it's not asking for a lot.
I think we're also accommodating, we're giving more units. So as part of the text, they're getting more units to spread this across. So some of the cost is going to it's not as impactful on each individual owner if it's just 1,000 square foot building.
I mean, some of this is still going to be on the builder. I mean, he's not going to build stuff that's not going to sell. So, I mean, he's got to be exercising some discretion that I'm not going to be able to sell this many large units and have a service charge on top of it. So I would think they'd be smart enough to put 2 and 2 together. So it doesn't have to be so specifically spelled out here. It's just more or less, we know what we want at least to be there, and then they've got to figure out how to do it.
So we could have a 50-unit development based on that red text at the top. And 50 times 6, 30,000 square feet of recreational space. Do we all want that all in one lot, or I think maybe not? Yeah. Now, do we want it to be active recreation, or, I mean, I think walking paths would probably, just by definition, be allowed.
Correct. People will create their own path. That's not necessary. I think people would be looking for some sort of activity.
So I would say, I like the idea of having it be active recreation, but not having a single one, 30,000 square foot baseball field or whatever. I don't know. Just because as you get to a larger development.
I mean, all right, then do we discuss at 50 units, it's mandatory that you will have a 1,000 square foot. At 50 units, it is mandatory that you provide a 1,000 square foot recreation building. So
this is saying more than 20, you may choose recreation space above what?
Suppose we said for 20, up to 20 units, you have either one building or one 15,000 square foot open area. If you have more than 30 or 40, then you have to have at least two buildings and at least two recreational areas, something like that.
I don't think we need two buildings. I think we need definitely one building.
Well, then maybe at least two recreational areas if you're going to go through that. You know, at 20, you could have one, but at 30 or 40, then you have to have two. And if you have 50, you have to have three or something like that.
I mean, to me, I'm looking at it, you know, we've all heard and seen of villages and whatnot. When you get up to 50 homes in one area, these people are gonna become friends, and it's gonna become, you know, it's their neighborhood, and they're gonna be looking for activities to do together. So at 50, we make it mandatory that you actually do have two pickleball courts and a building. You know, or something, you know, I don't care if it's a bocce court, you just gotta give people activities to do.
I really like Commissioner Foley's idea of adding a tier at 50. Additionally, once you get to 50, that becomes material for the community center, for the senior center. Now you're talking about potentially somewhere between 50 and 100, depending if, you know.
Don't forget,
70
50 is the absolute maximum, based on that first paragraph. So we're talking about, I mean, there is a cutoff at 36 here. Maybe we say above 36, you're required to have a building.
Okay.
Okay, so all SRDs containing more than 20 residents shall have either a building or 600 square feet per open space. Yeah, well, I don't know if we want to take out open space. Above 36, we're required to have, we must have a community center and how much recreation space?
Two areas of 15,000 square feet each.
Or, well,
Usable open space, usable recreational space.
all right.
Do we do it at the 15,000, or do we leave the 600 square feet per dwelling unit?
Yeah, I like to base it on 600 square feet per dwelling unit, but we've got to give them credit for building the building. For trying to figure out how we craft the wording we want.
So if they build a building, they can do a building and 300 or 400 square feet of contiguous open space?
So that's a good idea, change the ratio. Instead of 600, if you're above 36 units, you have to have a building and 400 square feet per dwelling unit of recreational space.
Couldn't we just change E to say all SRDs containing more than 20 residences shall have either a minimum number of, well, actually it would be, it would be whatever the community room of 1,000 square feet. Well, actually, no, is it under, what do you want to do? Under 36, they can do just the open space, but over 36, they have to do the room?
Yes, that's what we're saying.
Over 36, they have to do the building.
Trying to figure out how we phrase that.
Now, does that eliminate the requirement for recreation space, or do we want that, some of that also?
under 36, if they build a community room, we either waive the requirement for open space or greatly reduce
That's
it.
what the word "or" means. Yeah, okay. They get to choose. Above 36,
Above 36, they can't choose, but below 36, if they choose to build one for marketability reasons or whatever, then if they build a community room, then they would be able to only allocate or have a requirement of 300 square feet or 400 square feet per dwelling unit, but contiguous, not, to Kevin's point, not just piecemeal.
okay. So, Justin, do you want to give us some wording here?
First thing, it will be 1,800 square feet or less per development, the minimum number of units, that's going to be 30%, correct? So we're agreeing on that. The language pertaining to the open space, do you want to make that cumulative open space? Incorporate that in there? Is that going to say X square feet per dwelling unit of cumulative open space? I know there was mention of usable in there. How would you like that to read?
I think it's already cumulative. I don't think we need that word. But I do think I think we're hearing people want active recreation.
If they choose not to do a building, then it will be cumulative. So there's a recreational area for the residents to go to.
So that would be under 36 units. That's when they have the option. They can do either the building or the cumulative open space. Whereas over 36 units, the building is required. Is that the case?
Yep.
Okay.
Does
So-
anybody think that people don't want an area to?
I guess the only one thing I would say, I mean, even if you left it the way it's written right here, I would imagine the developer, and I think you actually mentioned it, they're gonna have done their market analysis about what the buyer is looking for, right? They're not gonna wanna build something that people are not going to want to buy. So, I mean, I think we should take that into consideration before, like, we're trying to assume what we want there. So I feel like we should have some rules there, but kind of keep it a little simple and not make it very confusing.
So
Simplify it for me.
we could keep the wording of paragraph E. Okay, let's try keeping the wording of paragraph E. Delete the words open space or. Okay. Put the word active recreation areas. And then for SRDs containing more than 36 residences, an on-site community room with a minimum, an on-site community room is required. And in addition, what? Recommending doesn't work in regulations.
Over 36, you're getting a building.
Okay, do we want to also add recreation space or just let them decide if they want it? Okay, so above 36 units, the on-site community room as described is required.
And, and I'm gonna not retract, but I'm gonna look at it and say, doing the cumulative, right? It's taking away a building lot from the developer when that happens. Take away 15,000 square feet, but at the same time, 600 square feet to a lot means nothing, you know what I mean? You're not giving any place for, like, activity or gathering place, you know what I mean? Both sides of it, like,
Well, I mean, this
I don't
600,
We're not here to hurt the developer, we want
Well, the 600 is their thing. I mean, I think they came in with that, right? So they seem to be happy with that.
Well, that's easy. Again, 600 square feet adding to a lawn means nothing to nobody, but.
Yeah.
I don't know about forcing them to build a building just because it's at 36 units. Again, I mean, it makes sense, but again, going back to, they're only going to try to put together a development that'll sell. And if they believe that they're going to be able to sell all their units and just have open recreational area, you know, like you said, we're already taking away the equivalent of a building lot from them, and now we're forcing them to build a building on top of taking away a building lot. I don't know that we need to do that, but that's just my own opinion.
If we reduce if we force or require a community room, my suggestion would be reduce the open space requirement by half, so make it 300 square feet per unit, because now they have two options for gathering, recreation, et cetera.
So above 36 units, they're required to have the on-site community room plus 300 square feet per unit of active recreation area. You got that?
You said 300 square feet?
Yeah, that was the suggestion. Any other thoughts on the number of 300?
And that's going to be active,
Active recreation.
active recreational.
Yeah.
And so I think that that's going to be, that would be a new sentence that would come afterwards, right? Because that's describing a new thing,
Yep.
starting with senior residence developments containing more than 36 residences will require an on-site community room, similar language, plus 300 square feet of active recreation per unit.
Okay, are we comfortable with that, or some are comfortable, some aren't?
I think there's concessions all around.
Yeah, okay. Someone would like to
Only
make
thing
a,
I'll say is, so they go to this community room, but does that take away from them going out into other businesses and supporting the economy? You know, there's Evergreen Walk to go walk around and everything else, I guess. That's not in the neighborhood, but does it stop them from going to all the other places that we have in town to go and enjoy? Because we have plenty of it.
I think part of the strategy is to reduce the burden on the community center for the senior center. I mean, drive by it every day. That thing is full every day.
But, I mean, people at 55, I mean, they're not going to the community center. I mean, that's for
oh yeah?
people, right? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I would hope that 55, you're not sitting at the community center. Maybe. It's an active community, so.
Here's Stephanie talking.
No, but therein lies the whole definition of what we're talking about, senior residence development. 55, we got to relook at that whole age thing.
Well, that's just an entry level, Patrick.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
I mean, most people moving into these things are not 55.
I mean, it's the purpose of this section in our regulations says to increase the supply of affordable senior housing in South Windsor. Is this doing that? I don't know. I mean, Despina changed my thoughts on a community center, a community room. You really did. Now, I'm not sure if they want to buy a unit and they ask the question, I'm only going to buy if there's a community room, and the developer says, no, there's no community room, well, then pound sand, they're going somewhere else. So, you know, there's good old US of A, just, I'm thinking no now.
And now, and I'm also,
Or give it, let's see how classy a building wants to be, I guess.
There you go.
If that's,
and what the developer is gonna want, right, what the target audience is
be
gonna,
a classy builder if they don't want to be a classy.
Okay, so I think it's time that we have a motion of some sort.
Well, that's the problem. How do you do that? Yeah. Have a motion to what?
Mike, maybe you would like to give us a motion, or or Kevin, one of you two guys.
What are we making a motion on? That's not.
Do you have something we can read?
Yeah, there was something here.
So it's very sparse.
Yeah, it is.
Well, he's got the,
I apologize. So this is the wording that's going to come following this sentence. There's going to be a change here. So it would be all SRDs containing more than 20 residences, but less than 36. And then you go on to say this, removing open space or changing it to active recreational areas. And then at this point, that's when this picks up.
I'll give it a crack.
And also 1,800 square feet.
Okay.
I make a motion, we approve application 2420P and edit the language under 7.17.6 density, item E as follows. All SRDs containing more than 20 residences but less than 36 shall have either an on-site community room with a minimum number of 1,000 square feet provided with a bathroom and kitchenette, or 600 square feet per dwelling unit of active recreational areas throughout the SRD that provide conservation and sufficient passive and/or active recreational opportunities. SRDs containing more than 36 units will require an on-site community room with a minimum of 1,000 square feet provided with, what's BR?
A bathroom and kitchenette.
Bathroom and kitchenette, and 300 square feet of active recreation per unit. In addition, under item D, the minimum number of units is reduced from 2,000 to 1,800 square feet. And we are keeping the 350 cap under item 7.17.5 project/units cap. Do I have it?
So, as you read that, I realized in paragraph E, we say active recreation, then we go on to say conservation and/or sufficient passive and/or active recreation opportunities. So, what are we really saying here? We're saying two things here. We weren't thinking.
Not conservation.
But do we want passive or active? We can leave out the word active in front of recreation. A bike lane, walking.
Meditation.
Yoga.
Yeah.
So do we need the word active in 600 square feet per dwelling unit of recreation areas? Since we're providing, we're deleting. Sorry about that, but we got so focused on the first part of that paragraph, we didn't read.
Take out the conservation.
Take out conservation and.
It's conservation and sufficient and/or active recreational opportunities, so.
So is it now going to read dwelling unit, 600 square feet per dwelling unit of recreational areas throughout the SRD that provide sufficient passive and/or active recreational opportunities? Yeah.
Again, if the developer says he wants to put it in pickleball court, we're all for it. If he decides not to, it's up to him.
Do I hear a second?
I second.
Okay. So Justin, are we clear what we're,
Is this the discussion part?
let's just make sure we're clear what the motion is here.
It seems clear to me. I mean, you're accepting the part that I drafted and gave to Commissioner Bernstein, but there is an amendment to the part about the recreation opportunities, changing it to sufficient passive and/or active recreational opportunities. Am I understanding that?
That's, I've made those changes, and I'll give this back to you.
Okay. Okay, we have a second, we have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, any further discussion?
I'm sorry, I don't want to vote on something I'm not clear on.
Okay,
So are we saying all SRDs containing more than 20 shall have a community room? We're
No.
not saying that.
No.
So what did you say?
26.
In principle, without getting into the actual word, just test for understanding. More than 20 but less than 36 will have the choice of,
Okay.
as stated here, a on-site community room with a minimum number of 1,000 square feet provided with a bathroom and a kitchenette, or 600 square feet per dwelling unit of open space or recreational areas throughout the SRD that provide sufficient passive and/or active recreational opportunities.
So it's 20 to 36.
And then if it's 36 or more, then they have to build a community house
Okay.
or community room with 1,000 square feet, but the open space requirement is reduced to 300 square feet per unit, which 36 times 300 is, that's a chunk of space. Is that in principle what we all think?
All right. So I forget, we got a second, who seconded it? You seconded it. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed or abstaining? Okay. Motion passes unanimously. Oh, wait, we have one abstaining. So in that case, we need a roll call.
Okay, Commissioner Qureshi,
Aye.
Commissioner Fatiri,
Abstain.
Commissioner Foley,
Aye.
Commissioner Dexter,
Aye.
Commissioner Bernstein, Commissioner Willett,
Aye.
Chairman Wagner,
Aye.
6 ayes, 1 abstention.
So the motion passes. Thank you. So moving on, do we have, Justin, do we have any bonds?
I think we did.
Where's Alan when we have bonds? He's supposed to be here. Yeah, okay.
Okay, we're going to do a motion to approve a landscaping bond 18-54P,
me.
Nevers Road subdivision, amount of 500, reduce 500, balance 0. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimously.
Then we have an Inland Wetland and Conservation Commission bond, 1862P, Able Tool, at 430 Burnham Street, amount of 5,000, reduction of 5,000, balance of 0.
Second, and all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
The last one, Inland Wetlands Conservation Bond, 2317P, Leonard Site Plan, amount of 3,000, reduction 3,000, balance 0. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right,
All
we
in
did,
favor?
Aye.
we had a letter. Do you have the copy of that letter by any chance?
Aye.
I do not have it on me, no.
Okay.
You're talking about that email?
Yeah,
I don't have it on me.
I can find it on my cell phone. So we're into old business. Do you have any old business? Any old business? You know, I should have read that letter during public comments.
No old business that I'm aware of.
Okay. I'm going to, excuse me for a second, look for that letter. Fortunately, this came in quite a long time ago.
It was last week at some time, right? Can't remember the day exactly. It might have been Wednesday, Thursday, when you forwarded it to us.
Yeah. Here it is. Okay, so this is a note from Herb Asplund. Dear all, as I watch the P&Z meetings, I am so disappointed in the knowledge base of commission members. Meetings are unnecessarily extended, educating the commissioners on process and procedures. Steve, you do a great job leading the team, but I think you need more resources to educate, especially new commissioners on rules and processes affecting its actions. Ignorance abounds, but it is not because of the membership, it's just because they don't know. Are there training for new commissioners? When I was an alternate to P&Z many decades ago, there was no training, and such is the case today. If so, too bad. Herb Asplund. I would just say that we have a 4-hour-a-year training requirement, and we've had training provided by the town attorney. Our new member is encouraged to dig up some of those, and Justin can help you find those. Listen to the training about, what our job is as a zoning board. Okay. All right. Any comments on that or anything? Okay. There's only one other item that we need.
I make a motion to adjourn.
All in favor? Aye. We are adjourned.